And welcome into the Tuesday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Property managers, if you manage it, they maintain it. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We are out here today at Duncan, located at 1306 Murfreesboro Road in Franklin. It is the grand opening celebration. And beginning at 8 a.m., the restaurant going to give away 100 days of free coffee to the first 100 guests in line, in store only. So make sure you get your way out here. Again, it's 1306 Murfreesboro Road in Franklin. But we'll be hanging out at Duncan all morning long. So come on by, say hi. Al's already here today, so we got Al in the house.
Al from Franklin, shout out.
A lot of stuff going on. Joe, how we doing?
I'm doing great. I'm surrounded by coffee and donuts. I mean, you know, what more could you want? By the way, am I supposed to be on Zoom right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. So basically our video feed is just you.
Just me.
Are you sure we can't just do it like this today?
I mean,
just a big Robby Stanley face for 3 hours?
Whatever
I mean, that's fine with me. Okay, I'll sorry about that. Sorry about that, Ian. There it is. That's all you.
I mean, I think it's super close Zoom, man.
I think it's a better show this way, personally, but you know.
Glad you do.
Yeah. All right. I guess I'll hop on here a little bit. But, yeah, doing well. Excited to be out here. And also we have young Aiden Bauman from Nolensville High job shadowing today. So
it's a dangerous game.
Friday is for nights, as we've said around here a little bit before. Right, Aiden? Huh? Yeah, you know what's up.
Aiden very much looking at the two of us and saying, all right, let's do the opposite.
Yeah. What not to do, job shadow.
Let's see how that goes. Ian, how we doing? What's going on?
Good morning. Doing just fine, thanks. Glad to hear you guys made it okay. Down in my neck of the woods.
That's right.
But, yeah, doing great. Thanks. Happy Tuesday, everybody.
It's only a couple hours away from Robby's house.
It's not bad. This is the land of Ian Safar down here. So
yes, it is.
We got a lot going on the show today. Again, we'll be out here at Duncan all morning long. So come by, say hi, 1306 Murfreesboro Road. And we got a Preds game tonight. That's a massive one. We'll have Alex Daugherty coming up at 6:30. We'll get into the Preds and the Sharks with him. Vanderbilt women get a big win yesterday to advance to the Sweet 16, so we will get into that. Ryan Schumpert from Rocky Top Insider will be with us at 7:30, talking Vols and punching their ticket to the Sweet 16. Got some NFL draft stuff to get into as well, so we'll be kind of all over the place today in terms of stuff that we're hitting on. We welcome your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Joe, I mentioned the Preds and the Sharks. It's a big one tonight. It's a massive game at Bridgestone Arena. Preds have found themselves back into a playoff spot after a team in November that was the worst team in the league. They sold off at the trade deadline, at least partially at the trade deadline, and now at 75 points, they've got a 2-point lead on LA heading into action tonight. They've got a 4-point lead on Seattle, and this is a big game from the standpoint of San Jose has 2 games in hand on you, but if you win tonight, particularly if you win in regulation, you're going to be 7-up on them. So this is a massive game from the standpoint of, if they win the game, they cut it to 3 and they still got 2 games in hand on you. So it's not as big of a cushion as it would seem like. If you could win it tonight, that's a 7-point cushion that you're going to have on the Sharks, even with the 2 games in hand. So that's pretty massive stakes tonight for the Preds.
Huge game. Exciting to have a huge game on March 24th with this particular, in particular, Nashville Predators team. And again, they play how many more times after this?
2 more.
They play 2 more after this. So, yeah, we're starting a little mini end of regular season series, I guess. But like you said, get this one at home, and you actually have a little bit of breathing room there. And it would be a big deal. And, just on if you love hockey and like to see when great players come through Nashville too. I mean, Macklin Celebrini is worth also the price of a ticket for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean the Celebrini is going to end up being probably here in very short order one of the best players in the NHL. He's already one of the best players in the NHL. So that's what you got to deal with tonight if you're the Preds. We talked yesterday about kind of the long-term picture of the franchise, and I made the point. I don't think it changes that much over the course of the next 3 weeks here. But if you're in that locker room, you're looking at it back in November when they got back from Sweden, and they were the worst team in the NHL, and it felt like that was a good time in the schedule to move on from Andrew Brunette. They did not. They stuck with Andrew Brunette. We'll get into that here in just a few minutes. But there was plenty of opportunity this year for them to just fold. And that was then. That was after the deadline when they started to sell off some pieces. And to their credit, they haven't. Now, long term, what's this going to mean for, the next time that they're a true, legitimate Stanley Cup threat? I don't know. I mean, a lot of that's still going to come down to how good's Brady Martin and how good's Igor Surin and to some of these other young guys that maybe haven't ascended yet that are already in Milwaukee. Do they take another step here in the next couple of years? So there's a lot about that we don't know right now. But I will say, it's, Stamkos is closing in on 35 goals. He's going to end up maybe flirting with 40 at the end of the year. Forsberg reached 30 last week. O'Reilly has played great all year long. I mean, those guys right now, they're playing really good hockey. I mean, some of the advanced metrics in the NHL tweeted this out yesterday on Stamkos in particular are really, really good. I mean, he's having a heck of a year after a really bad start. So, they're scoring right now, Stamkos and Forsberg and O'Reilly. And when they're scoring, they're a difficult team to beat, just given the way that they play. So the power play in particular at home has been really good lately. And we'll see if that trend continues tonight against San Jose. But it's just got it's late March. It's late March. It's a hockey game that's meaningful, and it's got a big game feel to it tonight.
Yeah, and as you've mentioned, the crowds have been great. I mean, I think people are, again, like the conversation here sometimes, sometimes certainly on social media, even with us, I think sometimes maybe doesn't totally represent like the complete sample size of the fan base. And I think for the most part, I mean, I heard on DVD yesterday, kind of I heard Willie and even Adam agreeing, even negative Nelly, Adam Vingen agreeing. It's like just like enjoy it at this point. This is the time when they put themselves in a position to do something here. And look, again, even as we've said, like you are now within shouting distance of the top wild card, and that changes things a little bit. So this is a time to just embrace what this particular team is doing and have some fun with it.
Well, and it's kind of a big moment coming up for UC Saros because Annunen stepped up and won 2 huge games last week, right?
Yeah.
Including one where he didn't think he was going to start. He's playing well. Not that there's any sort of goalie controversy or anything, but Saros coming off the injury, he came in and played pretty well against Chicago. But I would imagine, Joe, that he's going to get these next 3. I mean, you got San Jose today, you got New Jersey Thursday, Montreal Saturday. Maybe not. Maybe Annunen gets one of those with the way that he's been playing. But my guess is Saros is probably definitely going to get tonight against San Jose, and then we'll see after that. It's a big time for him. Like they need him at the top of his game over the next few weeks here if they're going to make the playoffs, right? Like
100%.
As much as it is to have Stamkos, scoring the way that he is and Forsberg playing the way that he is, like it's going to require good goaltending down the stretch here. Yeah,
we had some people ask yesterday. I think we just ignored it. If like Big Juice is going to get a little bit more work, and it's like, I get it. It's good for him, and it's great to have that as an option. But obviously, this is Saros down the stretch, and it's got to be top version of him. It's hard to imagine that less than that would be enough for them, right? So, it seems like last time we talked to Andrew Burnett, maybe the Olympics was a little bit of a bump for him. And certainly, they're gonna need him to play really well. I think they're playing better, in front of him and them right now too. Yep, and San Jose. I mean, they're a young team that I think is going to be a problem over the next 10 years. So they kind of started their ascension this year, and we'll see what that looks like. But you get Celebrini, you got Will Smith. No pun intended to the other Will Smith, but they got a lot of young talent that they're feeling really good about. I mean, Kiefer Sherwood will be out there running around the night that they signed to a long-term deal. Just got a sweet deal.
He sure did. It's a lot of money for Kiefer Sherwood, but he got it, so good for him. But the point is, San Jose, I think when you look at the future of the Western Conference and, the teams that the Predators are eventually going to have to continue to go through as they, their young core grows older here, San Jose is going to be one of those teams. I think Chicago probably eventually is going to be one of those teams. Anaheim's going to be one of those teams. So kind of the first look at what could be, a long period of time of meaningful games, or at least having to go through San Jose. Kind of starts tonight.
Yeah, and the difference, I think, is obvious that there are some possibilities for the Preds where you're like, if this works out, Brady Martin right now is really the big one. But with some of these teams you just mentioned, there's a little bit more certainty about their cores. Although, I must say, I'm looking at the Blackhawks. There they are, sitting there in last place. It's a real shame.
You hate to
see that. Yeah, you hate to see it, don't you? No, but you still. I think they're going to get there, right?
Eventually. I think so.
Yeah,
eventually.
If they don't, it happens. Life's tough sometimes, but they probably are going to get there. The Preds are, it's still a little much more of a TBD, and I think certainly with the Sharks team, like you said, they're going to get there. Yeah, a guy like that that's what everybody tries to acquire, and it's very difficult to be able to just count on that or make it happen. It happens for some teams and not for others.
So we are off and running today on Robby and Rexrode. We're out at 1306 Murfreesboro Road at Duncan. It's the grand opening celebration today, and beginning at 8 o'clock, the first 100 guests will get 100 days of free coffee in store only. So make sure you get out here. We'll be out here all morning long. Come by, say hi. We already got people walking through the door, so that's good stuff out here. 1306 Murfreesboro Road in Franklin. Coming up next, we'll continue the conversation on the Predators. What does all this mean for Andrew Brunette? With the way the team has responded, they put themselves back in a playoff spot for the time being, and you have a new general manager coming up. What does all this mean for Andrew Brunette? What should it mean? We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Jared on the YouTube chat says, tell you one thing I'm never tired of. Dunkin'. That's right.
There you go.
A lot of coffee.
And there.
A lot of coffee, a lot of donuts. People rolling in. Come on by, 1306 Murfreesboro Road. We'll be out here all morning long. So, obviously, it's a big game tonight. We'll get into the game coming up here with Alex Daugherty from the Tennessean. Kind of zooming out, Joe, of you've got the playoff race going on. They've climbed themselves back into a spot. You've got the new general manager hire coming up here in, a few weeks, whenever that takes place. Whether it's before the end of the regular season, shortly after the season's over, we'll see. What do you think all this means for Andrew Burnett, who I think we would all agree started the year on the hot seat, at least outwardly, from people looking inside the organization? You thought maybe in November they'd move on. They didn't. And now you've got a new general manager coming in here at some point, and a team that clearly has not stopped playing for him, that has gotten back into the mix here. So how do you factor in, I guess, what all this means for Andrew Burnett, not knowing who the next general manager is going to be as of yet?
That's a good question. I mean, he's given himself a chance, right? A chance for the new GM to come in here and say, well, look at what this guy did under the circumstances. I mean, a lot of these circumstances, were not, they weren't created by him. I mean, if you look at the overall performance in Burnett's tenure, it's not a great overall record, but I think most people would talk about, the team building aspect of it and not the coaching aspect. I mean, I think he's acquitted himself pretty well. Now, they've also had bad stretches to come out of. They've had bad starts to recover from. So that's also part of, him coaching. But obviously they've been able to stick with things and keep playing. I think that you have to, that has to reflect well on him, right? But to me, it's like, so there may be a new GM, whoever it is, and it's like, clearly this is my vision includes this particular coach, and that's that. And then you may have someone who, everybody has their guys, right? Yeah. So, but you may have someone who's maybe a little bit less like attached to one person or convinced it has to be this or that, who's a little bit more open-minded. Like, okay, let's go evaluate this and see, because outside looking in, it's a flawed team, and they've had ups and downs, but also they do seem to finish well and hang in there and keep going and improve in some ways, maybe within his system and things like that. I think the whole thing comes down to whoever they hire. Is there clearly someone in mind, or is it a little bit like it could be this guy, but you know what? Let me just see and talk to Andrew Burnett and see if maybe it makes sense to retain him.
Well, I'm going to say the same thing I said when Barry Trotz was hired as GM. It needs to be the next GM's decision. Like, this, I would, sure. I don't think it's going to go this way from the standpoint of like, Haslam looking at whoever they hire as the next general manager and be like, hey, you're keeping Burnett on. Like, I don't think that's going to be.
That'd be a bad way to run an organization.
It goes. So I think it needs to be the new general manager's decision. But I do think Burnett, when you look at the totality of his coaching tenure, he had the 1 year in Florida where he stepped in there for Quenneville. The record was what it was. He led him to a President's Trophy. It's obviously a really good Florida team that he took over. The first year here, they started really slow, and then they got hot halfway through the year and, went on the 18-game point streak, got to the playoffs, all those things. Last year, we know what it was. It wasn't good. This year, the start was bad, too. Like, the start at one point in November was pretty similar to the start they had last year. And the difference is this time they crawled out of it. So at some point, if Burnett hangs around as coach, the starting the season off poorly, that can't continue. But it's been 3 years in a row where they've started bad. Even his first year, the start wasn't good, but you could blame it on, if you wanted to, well, it's a new system. You got a new way of operating, all those things. Well, obviously that excuse doesn't fly anymore. So there's something wrong at the first part of the seasons that they've just not been able to identify as of yet. So, if they get back in the playoffs and they're able to hold on to a spot this year, that's great. You also, I think and I've heard this from some Predators fans too, and I get it. Like, if you could start the season on time, right, and not just totally stumble out of the gate like they've done in each of the past 3 years, I mean, they'd be in a playoff spot by 5-6 points right now.
Yeah, that's very fair. Now, I do think one pretty consistent part of that is Sorrow starting slow, right? And that's sort of
kind of, but like he was all right
this year. This year wasn't.
Like
This year wasn't really the thing.
Yeah,
as certainly as much as other years. So
it's just one of those things where, for whatever reason, they've not been able to get the start of it figured out. Like, look, I think if you were polling the fan base back in late November, early December, it's pretty heavily on the Andrew Brunette needs to go front, right?
Yeah,
I think there was all sorts of stuff floating around there. Then Frank Saravalli put out some report about how I guess the locker room was fractured or whatever. It clearly that's not true. Yeah,
toxic was the word,
which clearly is not true. I mean, you don't have a toxic locker room and respond to things the way that they have. So I do think Brunette deserves credit for keeping them afloat and kind of getting this thing back on course here. But I don't think that he is, barring some playoff run that they're able to go on here, I don't think that he solidified himself as no matter what, the next general manager is going to be like, yeah, he's my guy heading into the next year.
No. And, it may well just be an absolute no-brainer like, hey, great job, but, like this is my guy.
Yeah.
Interesting to think of this in terms of, I imagine a fair amount of Preds fans would just like to see a complete start over altogether, not just in the front office, but behind the bench.
Yeah.
But again, I think overall, you're right. You don't put yourself in a hole, then you don't have to impress by digging out of the hole. I mean, there's something to that. And maybe that, I don't know. Is that just like is that a system thing? Is that what we're talking about here? I don't know. I mean, that first year, I know there was a lot of it just took some time.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, everybody figured it out. I mean, yes, we can all talk about the U2 concert they missed, but I mean, but I think that there was definitely something where some things clicked for some guys, and all of a sudden it was like, wow, this is what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
That was first year, though.
Yeah, and again, like I've always said this. I think tactically, I like a lot of what he tries to do. Right, like he wants to push the pace offensively. I think you could make an argument like, has he always had the best roster
for what he wants to do?
For what he wants to do. Right, like they've just been so light down the middle that I think it's been tough to really play that way. And that's why, frankly, I think he likes Matthew Wood as much as he does, because Wood, has got some size to him, but he's also got a little bit of pace coming down the middle, which is, Burnett talked with us about that last week. So I still don't think it's been a perfect marriage just in terms of the roster that's been there and the coaching style that he wants to play with. But having said that, again, the starts of it, he's got to get figured out. And I just think it's one of those things that when you look at the new general manager coming in, whoever it is, and people are asking me who I think it should be. I think Brendan Shanahan's going to be a name that's very popular. I've heard, Elliot Friedman throw that out there. That is a guy that's very intriguing to me. There's a lot of assistant general managers around the league that I'd be taking a look at. I'd be taking a look at, frankly, a lot of people in Florida with what they've done and, the way that they've built their organization. So there's a lot. I mean, the reports are to this point that they've talked with a lot of different people already, which is not a huge surprise. Shanahan's a name that's really intriguing me, so we'll see. So let's say, for sake of argument, it's Shanahan coming in. Does Shanahan look at the job that Brunette has done and say, you know what, you get 1 year to figure out, whether or not this is. And he probably wouldn't outright.
If you say it like that, it's not going to work out well.
But in his mind, you've got 1 year to show me what you can do. Otherwise, I'm pulling the plug and I'm bringing in my guy. I think that's very possible that it could go that way.
Yeah, I guess but if I were the new GM and that's how I looked at it, I think then I might advise that, but just bring in your guy then. If you're not completely convinced that this is the right coach, why do you want to start out on any sort of interim kind of lame duck feeling at all?
Yeah,
and by the way, if it is Shanny, then the fanboy in me may be absolutely insufferable on the radio. Everything's great. I'm like,
if it's Shanahan, the Evangelista is going to get a lot of money because they're related. There is that, which I don't think is going to factor in the decision, but they are related.
All of a sudden, he's a max
It's
deal
like,
for
wow.
Evangelista.
Luke Evangelista is making just an absolute unbelievable amount of money.
Oh, my goodness.
It's crazy.
They don't have any cap left.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But no, the Shanahan's, I think, a legitimate candidate. Like I'm really interested to see who they zero in on here. And, there's still some Predators fans that are convinced that it's going to be one of Jeff Kelty, Scott Nickel, or Brian Poyle. So I guess until it's not, you have to leave that door open as well.
Yep. There are people who think that.
There are people.
I mean, we don't know.
I have no idea. They haven't hired anybody yet, so we'll see. 615-737-1025. Alex Daugherty from the Tennessean will join us coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. We head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in our friend Alex Daugherty from the Tennessean, who covers the Nashville Predators. Alex, good morning. How are you?
I'm great. This is a perfect time of the morning to be talking to you guys.
Well, I know after having a conversation with you last night that there's a high degree of anticipation for you being on the program today. So I hope the all-nighter went well, and a big game tonight between the Predators and the Sharks. So let's just start there. Like, what do you make of the Predators pulling themselves back into a playoff spot for the first time, I guess, since October the 25th is the date we landed on the other day. So they got a 2-point lead on LA for that final spot. Obviously a massive game tonight. What do you think of how the Predators have found themselves kind of back in the race here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you could watch this and not be just pretty excited to watch this. I mean, it's been a lot of fun to watch how the team has found another gear in a lot of different ways, right? I mean, like the things that's really working right now are their top offensive top offensive players, Stamkos, Forsberg, O'Reilly, and then even Matthew Wood and Jonathan Marchessault have been just lighting it up, and that's what you expect. You expect this team to use its top players to carry them in games. But then also you've got your goaltending back. I mean, at least in some regard. I mean, you've got this sort of, Justus Onanen has been fantastic, and then UC Saros has come on too. Like the way that this team was constructed, it was going to have to rely on a very top-heavy lineup with the top forwards, and then also it was going to need its goaltending to win some games. The defense has been better, I think, but I think it is kind of what it is. I mean, you got an older Roman Josi, you've got some guys that are okay back there, but it's going to be it's not going to be perfect every night. You need those top players to perform, and they've been doing it. So I think that anyone watching this team has to be excited about where things are right now. Especially consider if everyone can just take a journey back with me 1 year ago. This team was I went back and looked. I remember there were some long losing streaks in there. They had a 4-game losing streak in mid-March, and then they had a 6-game losing streak at the end of March, early April, when things were just terrible, including in there an 8-4 loss to Columbus.
Oh yeah,
this is way more fun. This is just like infinitely more fun to watch. You have to be, if you have not been paying attention to the Predators this year, now is the time to start doing it.
Okay, wait. So before I ask you a hockey question, Alex, what is this all-nighter? What do you have, a midterm today? What's going on with the all-nighter?
Yeah, exactly. I stayed up all night. I was like, Robby said, we're going to be on at 6:30. I was like, you know what? I'm just staying up all night.
Might be a little bit of sarcasm.
Oh, I thought you were serious. So like Alex had some big thing going on, and we're like, no, you're like, I don't care. You're going to come on at 6:30.
Alex is a trooper for being.
No,
on
I did.
Yes.
I did compare. I did compare it to college, like when I stayed up all night for college, when I had a paper due the next day. So it took me back to that.
Yes. Well, I can tell that you've prepared meticulously for this interview. So I appreciate that very much. So we've been talking about Andrew Brunette, Alex, and just obviously the future, and the new GM. We'll see. I mean, the new GM could know exactly who he's bringing in. You just don't know. But how would you assess just the job he's done? Obviously, they this year for sure, and we've seen it before too, have really figured things out later in the year. They also, of course, have had holes to dig out of before. Like, how do you assess right now where things are with him?
I'm sorry, with Brunette or Trot?
With Brunette. Yeah,
gotcha,
sorry, with Andrew Brunette.
Yeah, so I think that Brunette has been a very similar coach throughout his entire time here. He's been very consistent in terms of his demeanor, the way he deals with his players, and I think that's finally paying off in some way. I don't think that a lot of the problems you can put on this team have been Brunette's fault, except for there have been some exceptions. I mean, he definitely has had moments where you scratch your head about lineup decisions, things like that. But he's been very consistent. It's just like finally some of the top players are doing what we expected them to do. I also think he's done a really good job of kind of ironing out some special teams things. I mean, if think about like the special teams on this on the Predators have really been carrying them recently. They have a top 10 or close to it power play and a top 10 penalty kill. I mean, remember that Brunette is in charge of the power play. He doesn't have an assistant that does that. He is in charge of that. That was what he was known for coming over from New Jersey, and when he kind of built his name, as an assistant in the league. And it's paid off. I mean, they've started to score on the power play pretty frequently. Steven Stamkos helps that. Philip Forsberg helps that. But even the second unit looks dangerous at times. So I think he's been a pretty consistent coach. I would qualify him as doing a good job with this roster. The problem is they've already made these big decisions on, they're going to get a new general manager. Barry Trotz is not going to be here. They've got another opportunity this summer to kind of reset the contract situation, and that would likely come with a new coach. But I guess it depends on what they want to do. I would give him a passing grade at this point in terms of what he's done out there. A lot of people think it's just like a done deal that they're going to move on. I don't think so for sure. I think he's got enough under his belt to prove like, hey, this guy is a good coach. He's young. The players listen to him. They play for him. And look what it's done. He got into the playoffs that first year. Could be doing it again this year. Sandwiched around the worst season in franchise history. I recognize that, but I think that he's done enough to show that he's definitely worth keeping around.
So on the kind of in terms of the final stretch here of the playoff push, we've seen Stamkos start to score again. Forsberg with a huge game the other day against Chicago. O'Reilly's been O'Reilly all year long. If they're gonna hold on here and finish the regular season in the playoffs, who's maybe a guy or two that you're looking at that maybe hasn't brought it to their top level yet that needs to down this final stretch here?
Oh, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, I think that the first, the easy answer I think would be Roman Josi, and that's a little unfair to say that he hasn't brought it yet. But like there are times where you look around at Roman Josi and think like, man, this is the best defenseman in the league. Maybe you haven't seen that all year, so maybe him. But I think also it's just like the rest of the center depth, with Eric Halla and Fedor Svechkov and Tyson Jost, if he steps in there, if they can just get good minutes out of those guys to be able to prevent too much from happening on the other end while the top unit is on the bench getting rest, that's all you need. You need some guys that can just can hold off the opponents for as long as possible. I would say, Eric Halla is probably a good one. I mean, Eric Halla, he's had a good season, a surprisingly good season, had a great run with Finland in the Olympics. I think he's just been okay since he came back.
I would agree.
He hasn't been amazing. He's been okay. So if he steps back to being a difference maker down the middle, I think that would probably be the best result for Nashville at this point.
What have you learned, Alex, speaking of, difference maker down the middle, about Matthew Wood and maybe what's ahead for him based on, what we've seen this season?
Yeah, I mean, that's been a pretty fun development, right? I mean, the combination, especially with him and Forsberg, I think it's been him and Forsberg and Marchessault recently, but Forsberg and Matthew Wood have played, well over 150 minutes at 5-on-5 and have been very good at that level. Obviously, I think anyone that plays with Forsberg is going to have a good shot at being good. But I think what's been surprising is they've stuck with it. That's been the big change with the Predators. I think over this year has been. How many times in the past have we seen them try a young player in a prominent position, like Evangelista when it happened, a couple of years ago, and they gave up and they buried him or they moved him somewhere else. I just think like the fact that they're sticking with it even when he makes mistakes. like, for example, I don't think Matthew Wood was all that good against Chicago. I think he struggled a little bit. He had a couple moments, but he made some decisions that weren't ideal, that led to some poor offensive showings. But like, I fully expect him to be right back out there tonight, second line with Forsberg, probably with Marchessault, because they're trying it, and they're not going to give up, and I think that's paying off. So I think Matthew Wood has the right temperament for it. He's got to keep my head down. I'm going to do everything I can to stay on this team. He's getting the results. So I think at this point it's just about mindset. I think he has the right mindset to try it. We know his skill set works because he's got range, he's got height. He's not like terribly slow. I mean, he could get faster, but for what he's doing out there, he's not too slow, and he can shoot. They need that. They need a guy that can shoot on sight and that can shoot well, and he's proved that. So that has been a very solid development. This team is not where they are right now without the development of Matthew Wood at that center position, because they desperately need growth up the middle, and they're starting to get it.
Well, Alex, it's going to be fun tonight. I know that you've been teeming with anticipation to come on the program, so try to contain your excitement the rest of the day. Have a good nap. I'm assuming you're going to try one before morning skate, and we will talk to you soon.
Can I just throw out one thing? I just want to say, I think people need to understand that I have never seen Robby Stanley more upset at a Predators game than the other night with the Colton Sissons video tribute. People do not understand how upset Robby was, and I know that you had the rant about it yesterday, but I just need to emphasize this was all time Robby ranting at the Predators game. So just wanted to remind people of that.
I mean, it was justified. No,
I'm glad you said that. The listeners need to know that it was not manufactured. Like I'm still mad about it.
Yeah, it was definitely justified. I can't disagree, but I was just it was a sight to behold. It was steam was coming out of his ears from 2 seats away.
Please tell me they didn't play Glorious Domination in tandem with the video.
I don't think they did.
Okay, that would have been like all-time meltdown for me.
I don't think so. I don't even think if they played Creed, it would have helped Robby. I think it was all it was all downhill from there.
It helps a little. Alex, thank you, sir. We'll talk to you later.
All right, thanks, Mike.
Alex Daugherty from the Tennessean does a great job covering the Nashville Predators. We'll react to what Alex had to say coming up next. Also, Joe was at the Vanderbilt Illinois women's game last night. Dominant win for Vanderbilt. We'll get Joe's thoughts on that as well. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 the game. Teed up with us at the 5th annual 615 Open coming up May the 28th at Hermitage Golf Course. We are once again supporting Folds of Honor to help them fund life-changing scholarships for families of America's fallen heroes. You can register now to play or sponsor at 615open.com. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5 The Game. Appreciate Alex Daugherty from the Tennessean for being with us in the last segment. We're out at Duncan today, 1306 Murfreesboro Road in Franklin, and we'll be out here all show long. We got people walking on already. We got donuts flowing. We got coffee flowing. So come on out, 1306 Murfreesboro Road here in Franklin. We'll have Ryan Schumpert from Rocky Top Insider with us at 7:30 on the program. Joe, you were there last night for the matchup between Vanderbilt and Illinois. On the women's side of things, Vanderbilt handling things easily last night, 75-57, the final score in that one. Michaela Blakes with 25 last night. So 25, 9 assists, 10 rebounds. Just an assist away from the triple-double last night for Michaela Blakes. But Vanderbilt rolls and have punched their ticket to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, really, especially in the first half, Michaela Blakes just off with her shooting. And so it's like, man, kind of a tough night for Michaela Blakes. And you look up at the end and, like you said, 25, 10, and 9. Just, and in the third quarter, actually, Illinois hung in there. I mean, Illinois was right there. They were, down 9 in the third quarter. It's like, man, this is actually pretty impressive for a 7 seed. It's a very young team. And then 14-4 run ended it for Vanderbilt. Blakes hits a 3. Blakes finds Justine Passat for a 3. Blakes hits a 3. Blakes finds Aubrey Galvin for a 3. Blakes hits a mid-range jumper. That's a 14-4 run to end the game, and she created all 14 points. I mean, it's like broken record, but I don't think she's going to win Player of the Year. I think Sarah Strong from UConn is going to get it, and I understand that. I think it's an interesting comparison. Sarah Strong is an all-around great player for a more talented team. I mean, UConn. This is a major, dominant UConn team, like Gina Oriema. I think hasn't had as much in recent years, but this is probably the team that's going to win it all. And Vanderbilt and UConn now are lined up to potentially meet in the Elite Eight this coming weekend. That Vanderbilt will have to beat Notre Dame on Friday to make that happen, and then they'll be looking at UConn. UConn beat Syracuse by about 1,000 last night, and the Syracuse coach was like, it's like I feel like I'm being attacked that you guys keep sending us to UConn every year. It's like, well, I understand your frustration, but I guess either get better or don't make the tournament so that you don't have to go lose by 1 million to UConn. But it was a good scene. I mean, Vanderbilt, it's a really good team. Justine Passat hits 4 threes and has 18. And obviously when you get a third person doing that stuff, I mean, Aubrey Galvin had 12 points, but it did a lot of the stuff that she does as a player. But you get a third person scoring, and they can be a very dangerous team. So first Sweet 16 since 2009. It's a long time. And I think you're looking at first Elite Eight since, I'll have to look that up, but this is a program that certainly has made some and has made a Final Four. Can they, first of all, take care of Notre Dame, but then also, is this team up to, giving UConn an actual, challenge in the Elite Eight? I mean, I think it's probably going to take one of those superhero efforts from Blake's to get that done, but we'll see.
Yep. And look, it's before you get to that point, just think about Shea Ralph and what she's built here. And we had her on last week. We talked about some of that, but you get through this weekend with games at home, and now you're in the Sweet 16. And, it's unfortunate, I think, that UConn's in their group, right? We talked about that as kind of the beginning of all this here. But,
yeah, Gina Oriema was like, why would that be?
They don't like it either. I mean, it's unfortunate that it worked out that way.
Yeah.
But I will say, if they can get past Notre Dame, an opportunity for Shea Ralph in the Elite Eight to take on her former team could be interesting. Could be very interesting.
Yeah.
And I still think, Michaela Blakes is one of those players where she just has one of those nights, and there's not much the other team can do about it. Sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah, I mean she's she can go off for 50.
Yeah.
It's happened before, and it's probably something like that. I mean, it's a lot to ask someone. Can you at least get in like the high 30s, low 40s? But she's capable. It's going to be. So hopefully, we get to see that game. William from Madison says Joe doing his best impression of Barbara Walters, making people get emotional. Yeah, so this is the question I asked. I asked Michaela Blakes and Justine Passat. The question is, what makes Coach Ralph so effective? That was the question. It was not like, tell me.
You're like Dr. Phil out there.
Yeah, tell me, how does this make you feel? But I asked that question, and Justine Passat, so basically, she's like, well, I can sit here all night. She's changed my life. Michaela Blake said this really great answer about basically she was burned out. She was like, it was just because she's been, the U.S. basketball side means just constantly playing. And Sheriff was like, okay, I can tell you're burned out. Like, what can we do to try to, I know you're not going to tell me this, but, let's find some joy and things like that. And she's like, she found joy in basketball for me again this year. I mean, it was really interesting stuff, and they were all getting emotional. And then Shay Ralph was talking about Candace Lee, who was sitting right next to me, and everybody, it was like, my goodness. And then Jill Jelnick's like, gee, thanks a lot, Joe.
Yeah.
Get people crying in here. Like,
Nice
dude,
job.
I asked, like, what makes the coach effective?
Capital J journalism.
Just throwing it, and then just tossing the ball out. The ball is tipped, and then whatever happens, happens, But no, it was I think especially Blake's talking about Shay Ralph. It was really interesting stuff, and kind of a little bit of a glimpse of like why it's gone so well there.
Yep.
It's talent, of course. You got to have talent, but like Blake's is more than just talent. She's also like a ridiculously good student who's like pre-med, and like might be like the best player in the WNBA for a decade, might be a surgeon, who knows? I mean, it's sometimes you're around people and you're just like, wow, that's really like, I can't even imagine being that impressive of a person.
Well, congratulations to Shay Ralph and the Vanderbilt women. They punched their ticket to the Sweet 16. Going to be really fun to watch and see where it goes from here. But a nice win last night for Vanderbilt against Illinois. We'll take your thoughts, 615-737-1025. Ryan Shumpert from Rocky Top Insider will be with us at 7:30. We'll get into the Vols punching their ticket to the Sweet 16 with him. We will get into the NFL draft coming up next. Take your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping for homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025 here on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We're out at Duncan today in Franklin at 1306 Murfreesboro Road. Al's still hanging around. Al's over here. I think he's on his 4th drink. He's got some donuts going on. It's a lot of stuff going on over here. What'd you get, Al?
We got like an iced kind of, what do we got going on here?
Zero energy. There we go. Dunkin' Zero Sugar Energy. That's good stuff there.
Yeah. Nice.
Al's hanging out. We got a lot of people coming through the door, so just come on out here at 1306 Murfreesboro Road at Dunkin'. It is the grand opening celebration today. So we're going to be out here all morning long. Come on out, say hi, grab a donut, grab a coffee. We'll be out here throughout the show this morning. Ryan Schumpert from Rocky Top Insider coming up at 7:30 on the program today, so looking forward to that. Joe, the draft is a month away, so still a lot of draft talk to get through over the next month here. It's interesting, the conversation right now on the Ty Simpson front. So, Orlovsky got on ESPN yesterday and said that he thinks Ty Simpson is going to be the best quarterback in the class. Mike Tannenbaum took to Twitter after that and said that in talking to other clubs that this opinion is shared by other teams as well. I've already given that as my hot take, so I think Orlovsky and Tannenbaum are stealing from me. But what do you make of the momentum that seems to be growing and out there for Ty Simpson, who it's going to be very fascinating to see where he ends up going in the draft?
Yeah, sometimes you think about like momentum for something like this, and you think about draft time, misinformation. I mean, there are a lot of teams that would absolutely love, for Ty Simpson to be so coveted that he would move up and someone would be able to trade back because someone really wants Ty Simpson. But I mean, this is, it's Orlovsky. I mean, Orlovsky, pretty clear from like early on with him watching like Mendoza tape that he wasn't like overwhelmed. He's not a huge Mendoza guy. Yeah. So I don't think that I think Mendoza was really good, and he played for a juggernaut of a team. Of course, the Indiana Hoosiers, who you would expect to be a complete juggernaut, just completely take over the world and dominate and win the national championship. But no, I think it's close. And again, to me, it does not appear to be the case. I was wondering just about the back, because again, if you're having to get epidurals before games and stuff like that, it's like, okay, what does that mean long term? But apparently that checks out fine. And again, Simpson, before he got hurt, he was probably the Heisman front runner for a little bit in there. And, Alabama just wasn't all that good this year. I mean, look at the gap between their two teams. That game was not a reflection of the quarterbacks. That game was a reflection of the two teams, which is amazing. Yeah. Again, because we're talking about the Indiana Hoosiers and Alabama Crimson Tide, but I mean, that's what it was. So it's very interesting. Meanwhile, I'm looking at our guy, now granted, this is a few days ago, but our guy, Nick Baumgartner's mock does not have Simpson going in the first round. I mean, I think he's definitely going to go in the first round.
I'll be stunned if he does.
He also, by the way, has this. I don't know that I've seen this combination of Mendoza, Reese, Bailey to the Cardinals, Sonny Styles to the Titans. What do you think about that one, huh? And then Love falling to 7. But it's another month of debating Jeremiah Love. Aiden, as we're driving in here, he's a proponent of Jeremiah Love.
I think a lot of people are.
A lot of people are, and I get it. I mean, I understand giving Cam Ward a weapon, having someone who really moves the needle offensively as an offensive weapon. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that at all. He just needs to be, if you're going to do it, he needs to be special.
Yeah.
He's going to be good, but is he special?
Yeah, and the same thing with Sonny Styles too, right, though? If you're taking Sonny Styles at number 4, he better be pretty darn special too.
Because of who your coach is, then it's going to be like, okay, so the next Fred Warner, come on in. Is he that? That's about what, I mean, that's a high bar. But even like just a little bit below that, that's about what you're going to need if you're going to draft a linebacker at 4.
Well, by the way, Ian just sent along Field Yates from this morning. So Field Yates came out with his mock draft at ESPN, and they flip-flop Reese and Bailey, but it's Mendoza at 1. It goes Bailey 2 to
Wow.
the Jets, Reese to the Cardinals, and Sonny Styles at 4 to the Titans.
Wow.
That's a lot of momentum there for Sonny Styles.
I gotta
mock
say,
draft front.
I gotta say, man, if they don't go Love and they don't get one of those edges, man, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that.
It's not a scenario I'm in love with. And even though Sonny Styles, I think, is going to end up being a great player in the NFL. So it's not the worst thing. But if you're not going Bailey or Reese there at number 4, I'd have a hard time passing up Love at that front.
How about Spencer Fano from Utah? We haven't talked about that enough lately.
Where's he going in Field Yates' mock draft? Let's see.
Nick's got him 5 to the Giants.
He's going 14 to Baltimore.
Okay. And Maui Goa, I assume, is his top tackle out of
so.
Miami? Yeah.
He's getting number 11 to Miami.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's just staying home.
Field Yates does not like offensive tackles,
Field
is what I've learned today.
Like offensive tackles. Bill doesn't have any of them going. Yeah, there we go. Doesn't have any of them going in the top 10. The receiver part of this is going to be interesting. Like, where does Carnell Tate end up going at that point? So Yates has got him at 6 to the Browns, but is Tate, where does he end up? Is the second receiver Tyson, or does it end up being your boy Malachi Lemon? Like, that part of it's going to be Malachi Lemon, not Malachi Lemon.
It's a lot of disrespect for my guy.
I'm sorry, but I guess Field Yates thinks there's just a big gap. He's got Lemon at 16. He's got Tyson going at number 9. So,
I mean,
a lot of Makai Lemon disrespect too.
I love this comparing mock drafts. I mean, Nick's got Makai going all the way down to 21 to the Steelers.
What's going on around here?
I don't know, man. I think that's
you'll be clamoring
crazy
for the Titans to trade back up into the first round.
I think that's crazy talk. Yeah. So, by the way, we should compare Ruben Baines then, because Nick has him 8 to the Dolphins.
I believe that Field Yates has Ruben Bain 8 to the Saints. There you
go. Did I just say Dolphins?
Yeah,
I said,
Saints.
Yeah, Saints.
So they're
same place.
Exactly the same there.
I'm telling you, like, if it really was a Mendoza, Reese, Bailey, whatever combination, and Reese and Bailey go 2-3 in whatever combination it is, to me, then you reopen the Ruben Bain discussion.
Let the record show I'm out on Bain.
You're out? Okay.
At 4. Trade down, then maybe.
You're a short arm hater.
I am.
That's fine.
I'm out on Bain at 4.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I might have to reconsider there a little bit. But, Sonny Styles is, I don't know. Either way, if they address the defense there and let Love go, I think there's a fair amount of the fan base that would be upset about that. And I understand it. We have spent a lot of time not just complaining about how bad they are in recent years, but also how boring they are.
Yeah.
And so they would be basically signing up to needing to win games 19-17 and 21-17 and whatnot. But winning is, I would argue that if you have a great defense, I don't know that this would make a great defense, but it gives you the possibility moving forward.
Yeah.
There is entertainment value in that.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Take more of your thoughts on the NFL draft. What do you make of the idea of Sonny Styles at number 4 for the Titans? More of your thoughts on that to get to. By the way, the early returns on that don't seem to be very exciting for Titans fans. We'll continue that discussion. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Okay, so let's talk about teams, right? Because there's everybody out here wants to know where you're gonna go. You know, you got two teammates, or you got a former teammate in Cam Ward that's with the Titans. I heard Jeffrey Simmons campaigning for you. What would you think about the Titans, or where do you kind of picture yourself?
Well, first, anywhere I go, it's a blessing, lifelong dream come true for me. But to play with Cam again and Jeffrey Simmons and JFM, with those caliber guys, it'd be nothing short of a blessing. Just an opportunity where I could come in and try to earn their trust and earn the coach's trust and show from day one I'm here to help. I'm here to help, and I'm here to get us to go to the Super Bowl, and that's all I want to do. I want to win wherever I go. I feel like I got the kind of mentality and the skill set to do it, and I would love to just earn those guys' trust and show it to them, because Cam always tell me, every time you see me, say, we coming to get you, man. So hopefully his word hold up, and wherever I go, I'm going to just give my all to that program.
Man, that would be fun. I'll tell you what, talking to coaches, scouts here, they all raved about you. They said, I don't care what people say about length or height. They said the power shows up. The ball shows up.
Yeah, man, like Mike Tyson. He wasn't the most tallest. He wasn't the tallest guy, or wasn't the longest limb guy, but when you felt him, you felt him. And you wish you kept your distance.
That's Ruben Bain with friend of the show, Cam Wolf.
In your face, Robby.
Yeah,
you don't want Mike Tyson? Okay.
Not to play football.
You want that tomato can in the Nintendo game with the long arms? Mike Tyson kicked the crap out of that guy.
It's true. Our football coverage here on 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Tennessee Brew Works. Locally brewed, community-driven. Tennessee Brew Works, the official craft beer of the football offseason coverage on ESPN 102.5 The Game. A lot of different reaction to Sonny Styles. It's potentially a number 4 pick for the Titans. People don't seem to be a huge fan of that. People talking about the offense versus defense thing on the YouTube chat. Ultra BMW saying, hey, it's 2026. It's not 2000. Let's go get some offense here. I will say, as my response was, did you see Seattle in the Super Bowl? You know, Kenneth Walker was great, and Sam Darnold's a great story. But the story of the Super Bowl for the Seahawks, the game itself, was the fact that the Patriots couldn't get past the 50-yard line in the game.
Yeah, I think in these discussions, and it's happening here again, I think some people miss how much of a friend to a quarterback a great defense is. Yeah, I understand it's not directly helping. He's not on the field. I agree, like Cam Ward needs better protection. I agree. Cam Ward needs better players around him. But a great defense is a very, very close friend to a quarterback. Young, old, middle-aged quarterback, doesn't matter. So you obviously want to do both things, but ultimately, when you're in these situations where you have these rare opportunities to pick this high in the draft, you just have to get the best player. You just have to, and you have to do it again and again, and make a lot of other good choices. And you have to address both sides of the ball. So, I mean, if they get to the point, where they're terrorizing quarterbacks and they are a really good defense, again, the pressure on the offense is immediately lessened. You know, situations are different for you. You are not sitting there for 2/3 of a game having to throw, and everybody knows what you're doing, and they're putting their ears back and coming after your quarterback because you're down double figures. No, because your defense has held the other team down, and that, again, that opens up your playbook, just like, being in a favorable, 3rd and 2 as opposed to 3rd and 7. I mean, it all works together.
Drew says that he'd rather suck for one more year in order to guarantee that they get Jeremiah Smith. He said, I'm talking 0-17. Lose every game by 1. Competitive, but still suck. I'm here to tell you, if you're 0-17, regardless of what it looks like, the conversation is not going to be about Jeremiah Smith next year. It's going to be about what quarterback do you need to draft in your first-round pick.
That's true. So maybe you should have tried to not address the defense at all, so Cam Ward could have a good year but still lose every game. But too late. You blew it.
Yep, too late on that front. No, I just think, look, I understand Jeremiah Smith's going to be in the next draft. If you're a Titans fan, you've been bad enough for long enough now. Let's start to show a little progress here. Let's start to win some games. And I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs next year or anything, but you're talking about back-to-back seasons of a 3-win football team. With what we think has been a pretty competent offseason to this point, given the roster moves that they've made, and then we'll see what they end up doing in the draft. If there's not significant improvement, and I'm talking, get to 6 wins, get to 7 wins. It's not that hard in the NFL. If you can't do that next year, we got a big problem. I'm sorry. We got a huge problem if we can't do that next year.
Well, yeah, I mean, think of the fans, Al here, season ticket holder, what, day one at Nissan? Okay. Going to be in the new stadium too. Think of us. We don't want to sit here through another 3-win season and talk about that. It's just it's enough already. I mean, I understand. It will be fascinating. Like, is Jeremiah Smith like, is he going to be like the clear number 1 pick next year?
It's going to be a quarterback.
That's what's interesting. You may be right, but I don't know. I mean, again, it depends on what team is in there, right? I mean, it is possible. It is possible the top pick is a team with a quarterback.
It's very unlikely, but it is possible.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. But as a non-quarterback, as a non-quarterback, I can't think of too many in recent drafts where there was like a consensus dominant player.
Yeah,
that people would actually mortgage their future to get that guy.
Yeah,
but it's not going to be the Titans.
And if it Arch.
Yeah, it could be.
Start all that up again.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I think he'll be a first rounder next year. But yeah, like everybody, I hope everybody saw. Like, yeah, there's flaws, and also he could be really good. We'll see.
Cameron says we can't take Reuben Bain. During the season, people focused on him because he's a good pass rusher on a legacy team that plays on national TV constantly. As more information comes out, you can't take him. He's a mid-first rounder. This from Cameron on the text line. Totally off the Reuben Bain train.
Yeah. No, I mean that's probably where he's going to go. Top 10ish, late top 10, something like that. I'm just it's. I understand the criticism and the history. I also watch enough of him, and you can talk yourself into. I don't care. Put him on the field.
Sure.
He's going to wreck games. We'll see. I'm not saying he's Aaron Donald. Not at all. It doesn't compare. But the point is, like, Aaron Donald went where? I don't know. I mean, and then he just goes out there and he just can't be blocked. And I think Reuben Bain might have a little bit of that in him. But
greatest football player of all time went in the 6th round. It's Tom Brady. He's out there playing again this weekend in flag football. He's all over. Yeah, he was.
Interesting. He's the greatest football player of all time?
Certainly the greatest AFC East football
player. There you go. See, we can all agree on that.
Hey, you look pretty good out there, flag football.
Right now, he's the greatest AFC East quarterback. Bruce Smith is greatest AFC East football player.
Okay.
Just for the record.
All right.
Bruce Smith.
Just throw that out there. I got another texter that says, no way you're doing Sonny Styles at 4. If 4 doesn't have Bailey or Reese, you have to go Love at that point. That seems to be a lot of people that have said that. We'll see on that front. Keith says, I keep telling myself whether it's Love or one of the edge rushers, either way, we get a major upgrade at a position. I shouldn't be upset if they don't pick who I think they should pick. A level-headed take from Keith.
I think that's a very good way to look at it. Again, we were talking with Al during the break. It's like, one is I'm a huge believer in BPA, especially when you're a bad franchise and you pick that high. Like,
that's best player available.
Thank you. And so, there's some information on Indy that would suggest that that's what they think of Love.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Now then I don't know how you exactly measure everything with a formula, but part of the formula does have to be, the positional value. I mean, that has to be part of the formula. So you factor that in. Does that close the gap if you're looking at a Bailey or a Love? I don't know. I think that's interesting. Also, it seems like there's momentum right now of the idea that Bailey's not going to be there for them, which would be unfortunate. I guess it would at least it would eliminate if there is a dilemma. I think there's a dilemma in the fan base and with us on that. It would make it simple, right?
I'd take the dilemma.
Yeah.
I'd
take Bailey. Yeah. I'd take Bailey.
Yeah, I would too.
But I don't know. He may well be gone because it's so hard to find. If you have a guy that you really think he's just going to be a consistent double-digit sacker, man, they just aren't easy to find at all. And I'm not saying great running backs are great players of any position are easy to find, but
Some are easier than others.
yeah, like they have Tony Pollard, and if that's their running back next year, that's okay. They could be better, but it's okay. But you can go elsewhere. You can find running backs in a lot of different ways. It's just how it is in this league.
615-737-1025, our phone number. Ryan Shumpert from Rocky Top Insider will be with us coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up here in just a few minutes. Right now, we head to our phone line and welcome in our friend Ryan Schumpert to the program from Rocky Top Insider. Ryan, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Doing awesome, man.
Great.
Appreciate you taking time to be with us. So, Ryan, you know, this is a 6th seed for the Vols. It's the lowest they've been under Rick Barnes. And yet here they are again in the Sweet 16, taking down Miami of Ohio and Virginia over the weekend. So when you watch it all unfold, how do you kind of put into scope the accomplishment for this group under Rick Barnes punching their ticket to yet another Sweet 16?
Yeah, I think it's sort of what I felt like this team was going to be all year, where to me it felt like they would get to around the 32 and they would kind of play a toss-up game that could have gone either way. Now, I thought Tennessee would be a 5 or a 4 seed. They ended up being a 6, but still a 1-point favorite over Virginia, and certainly that game could have gone either way. And I think that it speaks to Rick Barnes, the way he's built this program, that in a down year, that they were able to still get to the second weekend of the tournament. And now it kind of feels like they go to Chicago with a little bit of house money to see if they can make something happen there. If my research was correct, first time that a Rick Barnes coach team has won in the NCAA tournament as the lower seed since 2002. So not only something that hasn't happened in his tenure at Tennessee, but something that has been a long time in his career, since it's last happened. So accomplishment for him, and now we'll see if Tennessee can pick up a couple more of those wins in road jerseys in Chicago.
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to ask you about, Ryan, about Rick, because 4 years ago, they lose that game to Michigan with a team that, that team with Kenny Chandler, I thought that they had a chance to really make a run. And you lose that game, and at that point, it's like, the Oregon State game had happened the year before that, and it's just like, man, like his overall track record at that point in the NCAA tournament was just, just significantly below like the overall quality of his teams. But now you're talking 4 straight Sweet 16s. I think you're the tweet I saw first with Houston, Bama, Tennessee, the only 3 programs to have that, 2 straight Elite 8s. How much has he done here in these 4 years to kind of just change that narrative?
Yeah, he's done a ton. I mean, I think there's always going to be people that will hold out and say that he can't win the tournament until he makes the Final Four. But, anyone that is looking at it with any sort of even kill brain, I think would say that narrative is mostly over. To make the Sweet 16 4 straight seasons, 2 Elite 8 runs in there. And, obviously the teams of the previous 2 years were really good. It would have been a big disappointment if they didn't make the Sweet 16. The team in 2023, they were underdogs in that round of 32 game against Duke. At that point in the season, I think Duke had won 11 of 12, was a very popular Final Four pick. And certainly this year's team has been in and out of the top 25 all year, really limped into the finish line in the tournament. So it's been 2 teams that I don't think a ton of Tennessee fans would have predicted to make the Sweet 16 going into the tournament. So again, he's going to have his naysayers, his critics until he can make that Final Four at Tennessee. But I think for my view, he's really changed my perception of how he performs in the NCAA tournament with this last 4-year stretch.
So, Ryan, we know that Nate Ament has been battling through injury. It was an interesting weekend from him with not much going on in the Miami game, and then some big plays from him against Virginia. So, I guess starting, how healthy do you think he is right now, and what are they going to need from him specifically against Iowa State coming up, which has looked pretty good so far in this tournament, to say the least?
Yeah, no doubt. I don't think he's all that close to 100%, to be honest. I think it would be tough for me to say for sure on a percentage, but maybe in like the 80% range, 75% range. It's clear that he is not quite as quick. I think that's shown up on defense as much as anything else. And there's been a number of moments in the 4 games since he's come back where he takes a fall and he's grimacing and slow to get up. So as far as what they're going to need from him, a pretty good bit in this game. Iowa State is just so fantastic defensively that it's going to be hard for Tennessee to have to put everything on Jacoby Gillespie. Just trying to take care of the basketball against Iowa State is going to be a big challenge for Gillespie. So Tennessee needs, almost kind of like what he did against Virginia. I didn't think he was just great, but the fact that he was able to, kind of grit things out and play 30 minutes and score 16 points, just be an offensive option for them that could score enough to make Virginia, and now in this case going forward, Iowa State, respect him. I think that's what they need. I think it's maybe not impossible, but probably unrealistic to expect him to get back to these 25-point performances that he was having somewhat routinely in SEC play because of the injury now. But it can't be like it was against Miami where, he doesn't score and is hardly really looking for a shot. He's got to be out there hunting a shot and making Iowa State feel his presence.
Yeah, I agree, Ryan. And I don't necessarily love the matchup for them just because they do get a little loose with the ball. And as anybody who watched that Iowa State-Kentucky game can attest, Iowa State will just take it from you. But at the same time, I think there's some matchups that if they can take care of the ball that they can take advantage of. I also feel like you got to have at least one other guy scoring. And in the last game, I thought JP Estrella had some big moments, especially I think when it was tied, he just went in there in the post, took his time. The double was coming. He just went baseline, hit that little shot. That was a huge moment, I thought. But then Bishop Boswell hitting 4 threes. Do you think you can count? Are those the two guys, that most likely to be counted on to support, Gillespie and Ament in terms of providing offense?
I think JP is for sure. Bishop, I don't know how replicable what he did was on the offensive end, at least from the hitting 4 threes. I mean, he'd only hit his previous career high was 2 made threes in the game. So for him to come out and hit 3 in the first 15 minutes and 4 in the game, some of what he did, what they need him to, what is replicable in what he did was have 9 assists and not turn the ball over. That's going to be the huge challenge, as you kind of said. Can he handle the ball and let Tennessee play Jacoby Gillespie off ball and run off pin down screens and stuff like that to get open shots? Because that would go a long way. But as far as scoring, I think it's got to be JP Estrella. He can't pick up those silly fouls. I mean, he gets 2 fouls in the first 5 minutes of the game on Sunday, and the second one was just so unnecessary and so silly. But he's that guy. Maybe Jalen Carey stepped up in that Virginia game. Maybe that's possible again. I wouldn't really bank on it. But JP is by far, in my opinion, the third most talented offensive player on this team, and he's been the guy that's shown the ability, while inconsistently, to step up as the third scorer. I think he's the guy Tennessee needs to do that on Friday night.
So, obviously, whoever, knowing how Rick Barnes looks at defense, I have no doubt in my mind that Momcilovic from Iowa State is going to be probably top of you can't let him have a centimeter or it's down. It's over. He's an incredible shooter, maybe the best shooter in college basketball. I have no doubt that whatever they do there, that's like that. You start there. He can't breathe. But if Joshua Jefferson is back for Iowa State, I really find that interesting matchup because I wonder if that's one of the problems. Tennessee goes big a lot, and really a lot of these top teams do. But Jefferson is a little bit more of like that kind of stretch 4 that used to be more prevalent in college basketball. What's the best? Who is the best defensive matchup for him, do you think, on this Tennessee team?
Well, I think we just got a sneak peek of it with Testa Ritter because it's a very similar skill set. He's not as good as Josh Jefferson is, but a stretch 4. And Tennessee really threw Felix Okpara at him for most of the game. And I think that's what they would do. You have JP Estrella in this game guard Buchanan down low, a more traditional 5. Don't make him guard on the perimeter. Felix, I think, has been somewhat underappreciated defensively this year from maybe the more casual fan, just because he's not racking up a bunch of block shots. He's not doing that because of these 2 big lineups. He has to guard on the perimeter, and he's been really, really solid at that. And certainly, if Jefferson can go, and if Jefferson's anything close to 100%, that would be his toughest challenge of the year. But to me, that would be the obvious choice to put on him. And then with Momcilovic, to me, that's a big deal of how healthy is Nate, because that's kind of what Tennessee's like to put Nate on those wing shooters this year to try to affect him with his length. I just thought he was clearly a step slow defensively over the weekend. How much would he be able to be effective in that type of matchup after 5 days of not playing and hopefully getting that ankle and feeling as good as it possibly can.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch and see what Tennessee has for Iowa State coming up in the tournament. It's been fun to watch so far. Another Sweet 16 for Rick Barnes and company. Ryan, great stuff as always, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, sounds great. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely. Ryan Shumpert, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode from Rocky Top Insider, does an outstanding job covering the Tennessee Volunteers. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up next, a big game between the Predators and the Sharks coming up tonight that we'll get back into in the 8 o'clock hour. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
I mean, I need you to get mad about this. Hey, fart you, loser.
Fart you, I won't do what you told me. Derek, I hope you're not mad at me. You're the one that's saying it's Terry.
There you go, Terry. Put it in reverse, Terry.
I guess maybe he is dumb.
It is that time of the day. It's time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning here on the show. Joe Rexrode, your rant begins now.
Listen, I just want you to know right now, like I'm not gonna rant. Okay, I know it's called the Rex Rant, but I'm like a public place right here. You scream, nice little kids over here, and the people eating their donuts, drinking their coffee. People trying to work in here. I'm not going to start screaming, okay?
I think you should.
No, I can't do that. But I'm going to gently say that I was a little bit disappointed with Vanderbilt fans last night.
Okay.
I got to say. Now I was told that, and look, I don't want to turn a great night for Vanderbilt. First Sweet 16 and 17 years into a negative. I can turn just about anything into a negative, though. But I was told Saturday that it was a much better crowd. But, I mean, they made noise. The fans who came, great job showing up. And again, I'm not just talking Vanderbilt fans either. I'm talking like general, like I understand it's a Monday night. It's a Monday night at 6:00. Like you have a chance to watch Michaela Blakes play basketball. I'm telling you, people. You got, I think, 2 years left after this. I mean, she could go after next year. She'd be the number one pick. She will be the number one pick in the WNBA draft if she goes. Like, that's what she is. Don't miss opportunities. Our friend TD has become like, super fan. I didn't see him out there, but I think he was out there last night. But, and he goes whenever he can now. And there's team success and rooting for your school and supporting a local team, all that stuff. And then there's like, again, don't miss the chance to watch this player play because it is not normal. It is extraordinary. And yeah, I was disappointed to me in what I expected the turnout to be. I mean, actually, we had a text, I think, yesterday. I could probably try to find it, but I probably should have done that earlier. But it was basically someone who I think is a Vanderbilt fan complaining about basically like our fan base sucks. I don't think that's fair. I mean, some of that was about like the Nebraska thing. I mean, look, Nebraska fans decided to take over that place long ago, and they did. And I mean, Vanderbilt had as many fans as Houston did.
Yeah. And
anybody else there, everybody had their little allotment. And then 15,000 of the 18,000 seats were Nebraska fans. Like that to me that's not a point of criticism. I thought this year at football, I thought you really saw the effect of what Clark Lee, Diego Pavia, and all those guys have done. I think you saw that at the stadium, and First Bank Stadium is now it's a much better place. They've done a great job there. I think you saw, again, for both basketball teams, some really good crowds this year, and some atmospheres and some noise level, that the Memorial Magic stuff came back. Just last night, and it's the NCAA tournament. I mean, it's their chance to get to the Sweet 16 for the first time in 17 years. It's 6:00. It's not ridiculously late. Sometimes these NCAA tournament start times can be prohibitive. This wasn't. I mean, like you have time to get there, I think, after work. And basically, the lower was pretty good shape, but like anything up but above that was very, there was a handful of people here or there. So I know that this is like, again, I'm turning a really good thing into a complaint. But, yeah, I think that it should be better. I think that this was an opportunity for more people to support this team and, again, to watch her play, because it is that alone is worth the price of admission. I could also argue that Aubrey Galvin, watching her play and some of the stuff she does, is worth the price of admission. Those two together, now you got I think 2 years. I think you definitely have. Well, I guess you shouldn't say definitely in college sports.
Not anymore.
Anything anymore. But I mean,
Probably.
I'm going to go ahead and give you a 99.9% chance that next year you're going to get to watch those two kids play for a team, and we'll see what all else happens. But, I mean, you could be talking about a preseason top 5 type team and a short list national championship contender. I hope that next year there's just more realization of that around here and more of that showing up in the stands, because it is every bit worth it. So
what
there's
kind of
my
crowd
little
were we talking about yesterday?
That's a good question. Let me see if I have in the game notes what the official attendance. So attendance was 44-40. 44-40.
Yeah, it needs to be better than that.
Yeah, I mean, like that's just too low for an NCAA tournament game with a team that's been ranked all year, with a team that has a chance to set the program wins record and all that. And I understand that things are different in Nashville than they were like when Vanderbilt was going to the Final Four 30-plus years ago. Like there's a million more things to do, all that stuff. But there's also more people. And I think there's enough Vanderbilt alums, fans, for a game like that last night to have more than 4,400 people.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'll be the turd in the punch bowl, but gently, because I don't want to. In fact, this rant has I've cleared the entire place out. I'm sorry. Maybe I should have yelled, "Come back! I command!" I don't know. Sorry.
They got stuff going on outside. It's not just you.
Okay. They got a little bounce house going on.
They got a lot
there?
of stuff going on out there.
Oh, that's exciting. Okay. So anyway, there's my spiel. I'm sorry.
Any other fans you'd like to take a swipe at while we're here?
I
Preds fans, and let me tell you something else.
Yeah,
Titans fans, why haven't you paid more money the last 2 years to watch this team?
Yeah, like I try to really support the fans when their teams stink, and it's like I feel bad for them. They shouldn't be forced to do anything. But when your team's awesome,
that's true.
Show
it's
up.
Opposite, yeah.
Please show up.
So is your Vandy Joe title about to be revoked, or is this technically you could make the argument this is strengthening Vandy Joe title?
I mean, you could argue that I'm doing marketing for them, free marketing for them. It's too late. The game already happened, but I can complain about it afterwards.
Some late marketing coming in from Rexrode after the game has been played.
Some retrospective marketing. That's smart, right?
In all seriousness, we talked about this earlier. Going to be really interesting to see the type of run that they can put together here. I mean, those 4 teams that we've talked about that are the 4-1 seeds in this tournament. Obviously, the title's probably going through one of them. But this, and if you're Vanderbilt, you're going to have to beat probably, I guess at this point, 3 of them, 2 of them to get there. So, it's a tough task. But, if it ends up being Vanderbilt and UConn in the Elite Eight, that'd be a pretty sweet matchup right there. I'm looking forward to it already. I'm bypassing Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean, Hannah Hidalgo. I mean,
I know
it's
they're
a big
good.
Game, but yeah, I think they have a good chance to win. Billy from Bellevue says you can't force people to want to watch women's basketball. Also, I had no idea the game was even being played. Terrible marketing for Vandy. Well, look, I mean, Billy, if you don't like that sport, that's fine. I promise you, there are enough people who do that you can have a better crowd than that.
Yeah.
And
well, they've had better crowds than that.
Yeah, exactly. Liam says, as much as I love my school, my teams, and all the success Candace Story has helped bring us, 99 out of 100, I'm going to watch a game from the comfort of my couch where I can actually see instead of the second or third level of Memorial. I'll find other ways to support them. Well, okay. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but I think you probably could have gotten to the lower level too last night. Okay. There were seats available.
Your way on down.
Yeah.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll take more of your thoughts on the Rex Rant for today. Got the Preds and the Sharks coming up tonight at Bridgestone Arena in a massive game. We will get into that. Coming up next, we are out here all morning long at Duncan, 1306 Murfreesboro Road. It's the grand opening celebration event at 9:30. There's going to be a ribbon cutting ceremony that takes place to celebrate the opening of this location. Again, 1306 Murfreesboro Road. So come on out here. They're giving away free coffee. There's all kinds of stuff going on out here. So come on out. We got a line outside. There's bounce houses. There's giveaways. Cuppies out here, the Duncan mascot. So 1306 Murfreesboro Road in Franklin. More coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Get thicker grass, better color, and fewer bare spots with turf application. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We are out here today at Duncan, 1306 Murfreesboro Road. It's the grand opening celebration. And right now, we got people rolling in. They're giving away free coffee. There's donuts around here. They got a ribbon cutting ceremony coming up at 9:30 to celebrate the new opening out here at 1306 Murfreesboro Road in Franklin. Several of you have already stopped by. We appreciate that for stopping by and saying hi. And we'll be out here throughout the show this morning out here in Franklin. So looking forward to all that and continuing to meet y'all this morning. Big game tonight between the Predators. They got Smashville Live coming up tomorrow. Presented by Gary Force Acura at 6 o'clock on Brewhouse 100 in Bellevue. It'll be Ryan Ufko and Zach LaRue tomorrow. So those are your Preds player guests. Tomorrow night, Brewhouse 100 in Bellevue and only on 102.5 The Game. Joe, it's a big one tonight for the Preds. They're taking on San Jose. Preds are in a playoff spot as we begin action in the NHL today. It's 75 points. They got a 2-point lead on the LA Kings. Seattle's still hanging around at 71 points. They actually have a 5-point lead on San Jose, but San Jose has 2 games in hand on them. So if you're the Sharks and you can beat the Predators in regulation tonight, you'd be 3 back with 2 games in hand. So that's pretty good if you're the Sharks. If you're the Preds and you can win this game in regulation night, you'll be 7 up on them at that point. So you still play them 2 more times after that. Those games are going to be really important coming down the stretch, but a massive one in first of 3 meetings for the Predators against the San Jose Sharks coming up today. You mentioned it earlier. You got Macklin Celebrini, Will Smith, Michael Misa, who they just drafted. So that young trio that they've got is going to be dangerous for the Sharks for a long time. Preds, Johnny, our resident researcher from Vancouver on the show, has pointed out Preds have beaten the Sharks, I think, 13 games in a row. So they've not played each other yet this year, but they have beaten the Sharks, I believe, 13 in a row in the regular season. So that kind of shows you how bad San Jose's been lately. But a big one tonight for the Preds.
That's actually a shocking stat.
Yeah.
13 in a row.
Yeah.
Like you would expect any sort of streak like that to be, the team that loses them to be terrible, but also the team that wins them to be better
really
than the Preds
good.
have been.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's wow, that's something. Yeah, so this is what they call a 4-point game, I think, right?
Yeah. 4-point game.
I think so. No, it's a big deal. It's awesome to have a game like this at Bridgestone. I won't tell people you have to show up. I don't want to offend anyone, because John in Nashville just said that my rant was tone deaf, DEF, like Def Jam, because world events affect the economy and the lack of funds people have for sports. Again, you could have gotten in for $5 last night. So I hear you in general, John, but like that doesn't apply to this one. I don't think you can get in tonight at Bridgestone for $5.
Probably not.
But I think you're probably going to see, despite that, a packed building.
Yeah.
Because there are people who have funds for sporting events. I'm on the totally different topic of like how much tickets are, and we were just talking to Al from Franklin, the Titans, and how much more they're charging people just to get the seat license. That's a totally different topic. That's a totally fair topic. A lot of people getting priced out of things. But anyway, big game for the Preds tonight. I just had to address John before I forgot about it.
Big game for the Preds tonight.
Long
Stamkos. Yeah. Stamkos playing really well right now. He's a couple of huge goals over the weekend against Vegas. Then he scored again against Chicago. Obviously, Forsberg, almost single-handedly won the game by himself on Sunday, the way he played. So those two are going right now. And I said it yesterday. And to me, it makes a big difference when this is the case, and it's barely been the case at all this year for a couple of different reasons. But Marchessault is going right now, too. And you've got, Stamkos scoring. I thought Marchessault the last, 4 or 5 games has been really good. So when you have all that happening at the same time where, Forsberg's having a big game like he did, Marchessault made a great play, just a great play on Forsberg's first goal the other day, and it looks like they've got some chemistry together along with Matthew Wood. So there's a lot to like about, kind of the way that the top of their lineup is playing. The younger guys, where you're talking LaRue, and you've got Kimmel that's kind of come in and out of the lineup. Weisblatt's coming in and out of the lineup. I think they're still trying to find a little bit of a groove in the bottom six, other than Tyson Jost, who apparently is going to score 10 goals down the stretch here. But they're still trying to find a little bit of a groove in their bottom six right now. But you're feeling good overall about the way that they're playing. And then Saros was back in there Sunday. He played well. I'm assuming he's going to be in there tonight. So, a lot of the story of whether or not they make the playoffs down the stretch here, Joe, is going to come down to him and how well he plays.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of calls out there for more work for Big Juice.
Yeah.
But, you got to go with your guy. You got to roll with your guy. And I think it's probably if you want to just totally simplify things, you could probably just do that, right?
Yeah.
And tell me how he's going to perform from here, and I can probably tell you if they make it or not, right? I mean, I think that's oversimplifying, but it's
a lot of it.
It's a big chunk of it.
It's a lot of it, and a big weapon. And Alex Daugherty from the Tennessean brought this up with us earlier. Their power play has been good. They got another power play goal the other day against Chicago. They got a couple of them against Vegas. Like, their power play is really good. And that kind of the double option they've got of obviously Stamkos in the left circle where, he's, I think, now 7th all time in the history of the game in power play goals. So what he does over there. But, I think Forsberg is making some good decisions opposite him in the right circle right now. I thought earlier in the year, Forsberg was just not shooting enough from over there. Like, they're always looking to try to get the one-timer to Stamkos, which I understand. Like, you want to get the one-timer to Stamkos.
Yes.
But you got to find ways to open that up. And I think lately, Forsberg and Yossi, particularly on the power play, have done a better job of letting a few rip from back there that make you respect it. I think Saturday is a perfect example. Forsberg let a couple go, and then he wheeled around to the right circle and came in for the shot, drew 2 defenders to him, and then slid it over to Stamkos. And I could have scored that goal. I mean, the net was wide open. So I think there's a lot better kind of flow to the power play that they've got, and you can see it, and it's paying off in the results.
Yeah, you don't want to ever be too predictable.
Yeah.
And although he's the primary, him from the left circle, the primary weapon, those other guys can do some damage too. So is this like with Marchessault playing well? Is this like the vision of when they had it was finally coming to fruition
all
here
it took was moving,
at the last possible minute?
All it took was moving Matt Wood to center, and it's just opened up everybody. I guess I don't know. I mean, look, it hadn't happened very much where they've all been playing well at the same time, but they are right now. So that part of it is good to see. And we mentioned the power play on the season after a pretty rough start. They're 10th in the league on the power play right now. So they're right at 23%, or 22.9, but 23% on the power play right now. And then you look at their penalty kill, and they, eviscerated a lot of their penalty kill because of the trades that they just made. But they're 11th on the penalty kill right now. So you're talking about basically a top 10 unit on both sides of special teams. And frankly, that's single-handedly won them some games here lately. And that's a big deal this time of year.
What were they when they traded those guys? Weren't they higher than that?
I believe the penalty kill was higher than that, yes.
But still, here's one. There's a like if you said at the beginning of the season that as of right now they'd be basically top 10 in both, you probably wouldn't think they'd be, scrapping for the last spot.
Yeah. No, for sure. And it shows you the 5-on-5 play. Well, look, there's a couple of weird stats for them. They got a top 10 power play, a top 10 penalty kill. I think by goal differential in the first period, they're far and away the worst team in the league. Like they fall behind all the time.
Consistency.
So they've talked about that all year long, but their goal differential, I want to say, is like minus 21 or minus 22 or something like that in the first period, which for a team that's actually in a playoff spot is kind of amazing that you're that bad in the first period. So
like their overall is minus 23.
Right. So like they've when they've lost this year and they've let a couple games get away from them where empty nets have factored in. So you always got to factor that into goal differential too, but still like they have actually come back a fair amount this year based on the way that they typically start. So it's not a great formula, but at least they've shown at this point that they can do it relatively consistently.
Yeah, it's got to be, and I mean, I think when we had Andrew Brunel last week, he brought it up himself, right? I mean, it's got to be, if you're a coach or even a player on that team, just scratching your head. Like, it's kind of like, it's almost like the same thing as the whole season. Imagine if it was just okay early.
Wow.
Where'd you be now? Imagine if you could just
hang in
figure
there.
that out a little. I mean, even
Yeah.
the other day against Vegas, they were up 1-0 after the first period. They got outshot 20-4. I mean, they were holding on for dear life in that game. And Ananden had to make, I don't know, 4 or 5 just huge ones in the first period. Otherwise, that could have been over at that point. So, got to get that part of it figured out tonight. But it's a massive game tonight for the Predators taking on the Sharks. We'll take your thoughts. 615-737-1025. More coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 the game. Today, Vanderbilt baseball hosts Tennessee Tech at Hawkins Field. First pitch at 6 o'clock. You can catch all the action on 94.9 The Fan. Coverage presented by Gary Force Acura. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. here on Robby and Rexrode. We are out live at Duncan, 1306 Murfreesboro Road in Franklin, the grand opening celebration today. People are rolling in here this morning. We got coffee. We got donuts. We got Cuppy, the Duncan mascot out there. We got dogs, everything going on in here. Love it this morning out here at Duncan. Huge game for the Preds tonight, taking on the San Jose Sharks. We'll take your thoughts on that at 615-737-1025. Rebecca saying, it's been a long time since I've heard Robby say it's a massive game for the Predators tonight. But it is. It's a big one tonight for the Preds. And by the way, I mean, you got 3 home games this week. So beyond just the Sharks tonight, Joe, you've got an opportunity here at home to take advantage of the schedule a little bit here. Now, you've got the Sharks tonight. You got New Jersey on Thursday. So some Eastern Conference opponents coming up this weekend. New Jersey Thursday, Montreal on Saturday, and a tough back-to-back Saturday here against Montreal and then on the road for Tampa on Sunday. So that's a tough back-to-back for the Predators coming up this weekend. But in the meantime, some business to handle at home.
No doubt. Big game. And I need to ask you, you're not serious about this, right?
What's
When Keith had a hilarious text, tribute video tonight for Kiefer Sherwood and Askarov, and you said, unfortunately, they've already done it for those. They did not do an Askarov tribute video.
Yeah.
I mean, Kiefer Sherwood,
I think they waved to him. There's I think Askarov played 3 games for him. So
did they have like the video of him doing the thing in Milwaukee, with
Probably.
doing the push? Was
I'm
that
trying to remember.
the tribute video?
Now you got me thinking about it. I'm pretty sure they've done one for Askarov. I know they've done one for sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, Sherwood. Anybody who's played a shift will get a tribute video, but yeah. I need to see the Askarov tribute video.
I think it's happened. I'm pretty sure. I'll go back and double check, but I'm pretty sure it's happened.
My goodness.
It's a
perma-rant. It's a perma-rant.
I need who's the guy from the Kings a couple of years ago that played 5 minutes for the Predators? Samuel Fagimo. I need one of him. Most Predators fans don't even know who he is. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it.
Did they ever do a Mika Salamaki tribute?
Did Mika where did Mika go?
I don't know. I don't remember where he went or if he ever came back.
Anywhere. No.
He didn't land anywhere.
That's too bad.
Well, still time to bring him back.
That guy was a missile.
Laviolette loved him.
By the way, someone tweeted at, I think us, but you're not on Twitter, but that there was there's some tribute video in the NBA, like Sixers or some sort of middling player. So apparently maybe it happens in the NBA too. I don't know.
That's fine.
Maybe this is an overall. This is kind of like the whole everyone gets a trophy thing. Is this everyone gets a tribute video?
So.
We need to fix this.
Salamaki never ended up anywhere else. He played 5 games for the Preds in 2019, 2020, and that was it.
Boy, I can't believe he played during that season. Interesting. Okay. Learning a lot of things about him.
A lot of things being learned today.
I just love some Mika Salamaki, man.
So did
Pontus Aberg and Aberg.
So did Peter Laviolette. A lot of love for Mika Salamaki. So good stuff on that front. Johnny talked about on the YouTube chat, it better be packed at 501 Broadway tonight. It will be. It'll be a packed house tonight. I would imagine the environment's going to be really good. And, going back to our discussion earlier, you've got a playoff race going on. You've got a general manager search that's taking place. And on the one hand, if you're going to the game tonight, you're probably worried about the short term, right? All right, let's take care of this playoff race here. On the other hand, the long term, I think there's still a lot up in the air about where things are going from here, including, by the way, with the coach, right? We had Alex Daugherty on from the Tennessean earlier in the program, and I think there are some people that believe, with a new general manager coming in, that it's just a foregone conclusion that they're going to move on from the coach. I don't necessarily believe that, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that he's staying either. I think that's very much up in the air, and depending on who they hire as the next general manager, I'm very interested to see how they view Brunette. Obviously we'll see how this season ends and whether or not they make it in the playoffs. And then if they do, what they do in the playoffs, which I'm sure will factor in to some degree. But I have no idea what to think on the Andrew Brunette front right now in terms of how a new general manager is going to view him coming into this job.
Yeah. And, of course, if you're Andrew Brunette, you know this. It's probably really – when it comes down to it, as whatever, maybe a finalist list gets reported or whatever, you probably even know if you're him being in the hockey circles, okay, well, it's this guy. I know this is going to be his coach.
Yep.
But if it's this guy, well, who knows? Maybe there's not an obvious answer there.
Right.
Obviously, if you're Andy Burnett, you probably just want a chance to make your case. And I do think he's making his case again with this team sticking together, turning it around, then even turning it around, having some important pieces, complementary pieces, but still, the lead, a tremendous penalty kill gets affected, and then you can see that it affected them in the locker room, but they've hung in there and they keep winning. So it has to speak well of him to whoever gets the job, but whoever does may just have a clear, I'm coming in and this is going to be my coach, and that's that.
Oh, by the way, they're on a 4-game winning streak right now, which I believe is the season long 4-game winning streak. So chance to extend that to 5.
Sharks have lost 4 in a row.
Sharks have lost 4 in a row. So
Seattle,
you got 2
3 in
teams
a
that
row.
are going the wrong way right now.
They're getting a lot of help.
It's kind of
for sure.
They are getting help, and I guess it kind of depends on how you feel about that if you're a Predators fan. I mean, if you're superstitious, there's a lot working against you tonight. If you're a Preds fan, it's like, wow, so they've beaten the Sharks 13 times in a row, and the Sharks this year have lost 4 in a row right now. That's not an overly great omen heading into this. The Predators are hot, so do things change quickly tonight? But it's just an interesting stat there. You got a lot of things at play tonight when it comes to the Sharks part of this. I think in 3 years, they might be the best team in the Western Conference. They've got foundational building block pieces that are going to be that good. They're going to figure out goalie, whether that's a Skarov or somebody else. We'll see. I still think there's some work they got to do with their defensemen, but they're going to be pretty good. I mean, that trio of Celebrini, who may end up being at some point the best player in the world.
Yeah.
You got Will Smith, who's really good. You've got Michael Misa, who they just drafted. That trio is pretty darn good in terms of the building blocks here. So I don't think this San Jose team's going anywhere in the foreseeable future in terms of being a thorn in your side that you're going to have to deal with. But maybe the old heads can get them tonight.
Yeah, if Askarov, who I'm looking at his numbers. I mean,
he's hurt right now.
He's 886 this year. It's not great, but I mean, if he ends up being their answer, long term, then obviously then we'll have some more stuff to complain about around here. We can renew some of those complaints.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Let's head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Bob in Antioch to the program. Bob, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, guys. Would you guys prefer that the Predators bring in a GM from outside the organization or stay within the organization?
Quick, easy answer there.
Definitely outside would be the way I would go. That's just me.
Yeah, look, no disrespect to anyone. I mean, you have to appreciate the consistency of the organization. It's not easy to do. It's not easy to do what they've done, and they've done a lot of good things over time. But I think also there's a consistent failure when it comes to forwards, and so I just I think that this is an opportunity for a little bit of a reset. Look, I think a lot of franchises in pro sports change up too often and too quickly. There's another pro sports franchise in town we could point to there.
Yeah.
Haven't complained about them in a few minutes. We can always go back to them. But, yeah, I think this is the exact right time to look around with new ownership and some new look, even Nick Saban. I think that there is some you can tap his brain a little bit on leadership and just trying to be cutting edge. And I just think this is the time that you 100% need to go in a new direction. And I don't know what that means for everything in terms of their scouting and all that. I mean, I don't think you're completely stripping everything down, but I think that fresh eyes and a fresh philosophy and all that stuff it's time. It's time for that.
Well, I think there's an opportunity here. This is, and Elliot Friedman's pointed this out, there's a lot of interest in this. And, just because there's a lot of interest in your job doesn't mean that you can't go internal with it. But I think it does mean that it opens you up to a lot of different people that you're going to talk to. And look, I really like Brian Poyle. I really like Scott Nickel, Jeff Kelty, and all of those guys to different degrees, given the past that they've had, have been around the game for a long time, right? Kelty's been here forever. Nickel played here, and now he's been on the personnel side of it. And we know that Brian Poyle's been around here forever. So, they've all got strengths that they bring to the table. But when you open it up to everyone, which basically they've never done before, right? Like they hired David Poyle and then they handed it off to Barry Trotz. That's what their general manager histories look like. When you open it up to everyone, and there's as many people interested in this job as there seems to be by the reporting that's gone along with it, I mean, you'll just have a hard time convincing me that you're not going to find a really, really good candidate, probably multiple really, really good candidates outside of the organization that have a fresh way of thinking and a new approach. And I think that's a good thing. So my guess is they are going to hire someone outside of the organization. I would be surprised. I guess I won't be shocked, but I'll be surprised if that's not how it ends up going.
Yeah. I will say, I still I guess I wonder what NHL job there wouldn't be heavy interest in. You know what I mean? Does that happen?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think, honestly, from a roster standpoint, you can make the argument that it's not a great job right now because there's a lot of old guys and there's a lot of contracts that you're going to have to figure out something to do with, and they've got some young players that you're excited about. But and other people have talked about this, and I think it's a great point. Like, first off, there's no state tax here, so that's a big deal in the NHL right now. You've got the cap continuing to go up. They're going to be in a pretty good spot with cap space here coming up, so that's also important. And number three, and I know people get tired of hearing this around here, but it is what it is. Like, people want to live here. Like, that's what it is. Like, people, when you've been
how dare you say nice things about Nashville?
You've been grinding away in Winnipeg or whatever. The idea of living in Nashville, or you've been
all due respect to the Peg, okay?
You've been a scout in Sault Ste. Marie or wherever it is. Nashville ain't a half bad place to live. So all of that kind of factors into this. I think there were some people, Joe, because of like where the roster is in terms of everybody's age, that when they heard Friedman first say that there was I think the phrase he used was enormous interest in this job. There were people that are like, why? That's why. I mean, all those factors are why.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's one of 32 general manager jobs.
Well, there's
also that.
Yeah, there is that. All due respect to the Peg. I've had some amazing poutine in the Peg.
Yeah, I'm sure it's great this time of year.
It's fantastic.
615-737-1025. Our phone number. More of your thoughts to get to on the Predators. We'll get your thoughts on the NCAA tournament. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. I got some tickets to give away. A 4-pack of tickets to the Monster Energy SMX World Championship races coming up at Nissan Stadium on Saturday, April the 11th. To caller number 4. Caller 4, 615-737-1025. Taking your thoughts on the Preds. Matt from Camden throwing it out there. If the Preds do make the playoffs, is there any chance that they win a game? I think they get swept. I do think there's a chance that they win a game, even against Colorado. Like, I don't think it's just some Titanic matchup that they're going to have to go up against. Colorado's really good. And Colorado, as I said yesterday, would be a heavy favorite against the Predators in the first round of the playoffs. I mean, I don't think it would be like the biggest mismatch of all time or anything like that, but they'd be a heavy favorite. If they keep winning and they keep going over to the other side of the Pacific bracket, Joe, they're going to have a heck of a chance against like an Anaheim, right? Like,
sure.
So I guess it just depends on where you land at that point. But I would assume from Matt's text there, the assumption would be Colorado. And yes, that's going to be a very difficult task against that team.
But yeah, the top wild card is within reach now. I mean, just being where they are now, 10 days ago, they were not. They were probably about 4 or 5 points back, right? So there you go. You're gonna keep winning. You can actually put yourself in a pretty good position. I do want to shout out Floyd the Barber on the YouTube chat. He said, I worked security at some Preds games a few years ago. Where's my freaking tribute video? So my question to you is, did they ever do a Dennis K. Morgan tribute video?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I'd like one of those.
I think that one ended abruptly.
He did a great job. I'm just saying. Can I rip on the Preds putting too many banners up too while we're at it today? I mean,
well, you've gotten after Vanderbilt fans. Is there anything else you'd like to do today?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think you've been harsh enough on Titans fans today yet.
I know. We're too nice to the Titans fans. We feel bad for them.
I know it.
Preds fans are spoiled now with their team in a wild card position.
Well, here's the other thing. Like, can we worry about like the first round of the playoff matchup if they get there? It's like, well, are they even going to win a game if they get there? Like, I don't know. You tell me. Is Nathan McKinnon healthy by the time that rolls around? There's a lot that can happen between now and then, right? Like as we've seen in the playoffs before. Like, look, I get it. As we talked about yesterday, I get it. If you're a Predators fan, if you're tired of being in the middle, all of us, I think, are tired of that, right? Like, we've talked about that. So I understand that thought process. It's just between now and the time the playoffs start, there's not going to be much difference in terms of the future of the franchise based on where you finish here. So why not ride it out and let's just see, man? Like, what's the harm in a playoff series at this point, given everything else that's going on?
Right. I mean, okay, you could luck out in the lottery if not, but yeah, I think you answered this. I don't think we talked about it, but some of the text line was like, whatever, like the difference between this pick and this pick, and as you pointed out, it's the top four that's kind of the line, right?
Yeah,
like the top four outcomes of the top four picks over time is a pretty vast difference between that and like anything below, and so you're probably not going to get one of those. So see what you can do. And this offseason could be all kinds of different things could happen this offseason. Obviously we don't know who the GM is, but it could be clear by the time they start next year that they are truly in youth kind of rebuild mode. And I don't know. I mean, again, they still have some really good high-paid veterans on this team. But right now, I mean, if you're those guys, if you're Forsberg, if you're Yossi, if you're Stamkos, you don't know what's going to happen, but you know that this with this team being in the postseason, this might be it. Might be your shot.
Yeah, it could be, especially your shot here, right? Like,
right.
It could be the way that it goes. I mean, look, it may not be. Look, maybe Brady Martin makes the team out of camp next year and is a 19-year-old and he's just ready to go. That could happen. Maybe here in a couple years when Surin's KHL contract's up, he comes in and he's immediately ready to go. Like, those things can happen.
Yeah.
And those are accelerators.
They need things like that to happen.
They need things like that to happen. Look, I would describe right now, I mean, Matthew Wood is a little bit of an accelerator right now, right? Like, it's not extreme, but he's come in and stuck in the lineup all year and is now found himself in a spot at center that you're looking at the long-term future there and thinking, oh, okay, well, you may have something there. So, again, like I'm not anointing him yet, but you need, if you're going to go through some of this youth process that people want him to go through along the way to avoid the Buffaloes and the Chicagos and the Detroits and some of these things that we've seen. Yeah, you need to get lucky and find superstar players. That would help. But you also need some of the guys that you've drafted already and that you're going to draft over the next couple of years to come along quicker than you think they're originally going to. And that accelerates the process. So I have no idea if that's going to happen with Brady Martin or not. I have no idea if that's going to happen with Surin, but it's a good start with Wood. I do know that.
Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, these are things that, one, they're due for some things like that to happen. Because there's just been too many, and this is why a lot of why they are where they are. There's just been too many of these high picks from relatively recent years that didn't pan out. And also, that's the type of stuff that, 5 years down the road, we could look back a little bit more favorably on Barry Trotz's tenure as general manager if they do pan out that way, if more do than don't, especially Brady Martin. Yeah. I mean, that's the big one.
Keith says, Preds being scared of Colorado talk is ridiculous. Should Titans fans say, I hope we don't make the playoffs because we'll have to play Buffalo? Or Vandy fans say, I hope we don't make the tournament because we'll have to play Nebraska?
There is a difference, though, Keith. I mean, there is a little difference there, right?
Yeah.
Like no one thought Nebraska's the dominant team in college basketball this year.
Right. So Colorado is a wagon. There's no doubt about that. Now, look, even, I say that and I believe that. And if the Predators were playing Colorado today, if a playoff series was starting today and you forced me to pick it, I'd probably pick Colorado in 5 games. That would probably be my pick. Having said that, their goaltending is their best goalie right now is Scott Wedgwood. I mean, we've seen him. It's not like he's had a great year, but it's not like Scott Wedgwood is some unbeatable monster in net for Colorado, right? It's everything else around him. It's, especially when Landeskog's healthy. Like when they've got Landeskog and they've got McKinnon and they've got Natchez and they've got McCarr, it's just really tough to deal with, which is why they've won however many games they've won this year, 48 or whatever it is at this point. It is 46. So, yes, they will be tremendous underdogs if that part of it comes around.
Yes, but again, they are now. Things stay on this heater. We could start actually talking about something else. Yeah, again, they could easily just fall out and not be in the playoffs, but they're creeping into a little bit different discussion.
Well, I think everybody in the race
would be really interesting.
If you're Utah, look, the division is what it is at this point. It's going to be likely Colorado in first, likely Dallas in second, and Minnesota in third. So if it plays out that way, those are your top 3. Utah knows they're going to be in wild card 1 or wild card 2. Well, if you're them, I mean, there's all the motivation in the world to be a wild card 2, right? Or excuse me,
wild card 1,
because of that side of the bracket. And if you're the Predators, I mean, right now it's not only about holding on to your spot, but as you said, I mean, that first wild card spot's within striking distance, and it's just a big difference. It's a huge difference in playing, Colorado in the first round and Anaheim in the first round. I'm not saying that I would absolutely pick the Predators to beat Anaheim in the first round of the playoffs, but I'd like their chances, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a toss-up series.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference between playing Colorado. Real quick, I get Aaron here shouting out 14U AA Nashville Warriors qualified for the USA Hockey National Championship.
There you go.
Congratulations.
Going around there.
Good hockey in Nashville.
Yeah, tell Jonathan Marsh so that.
Yeah, did Marchie look? There's all sorts of good hockey going on around here. 615-737-1025, our phone number. We'll wrap up the show coming up next. Got a lot of your thoughts to get to. We'll do it rapid fire style. Coming up next, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking more of your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Ian Safar live, manning the fort at our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home with the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. We're out here at Duncan, 1306 Murfreesboro Road. We had a lot of people come in here today, so we appreciate that. A lot of people coming out, saying hi. We got coffee going on this morning, donuts. A lot of people rolling through the door. Cuppy's walking around, the mascot for Duncan. Cuppy's around here. We got dogs running around. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's packed in here.
Jeff Kolb just showed up. So celebrities in town.
Yeah, a lot of celebrities. We got Aiden Bowden here, Nolensville High School, future High Point play-by-play superstar. Right. Now, when you're doing the NCAA tournament in the future, you better lose your stuff on the air, man. That's the High Point standard.
That's the standard that's been set.
That's right.
No doubt about that. That is the standard that's been set. P. Houston on the YouTube chat been trying to get to roll on with the tank. He's finally given up. He says, all right, fine. I'll cheer for the tank next year.
Okay.
Predators fans slowly converting one by one to trying to get them to win tonight. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
On that front.
At this point, winning is good. Good hockey is good.
Yeah.
Games that mean something.
Winners.
That's right.
Nice.
We've had a lack of winning around here, so it's nice to see some more winning taking place at this point. We'll see if it can continue tonight for the Predators. Joe, you were there for the Vanderbilt women's game last night. They win by 18 against Illinois, punched their ticket to the Sweet 16. Some quick thoughts on what you saw from Michaela Blakes and company last night.
Yeah, I've already said my piece on the crowd. Everybody left here the building when I started complaining, so I will not do that again. I will just tell you that Michaela Blakes is must see everything. She's got a chance to, I think, be one of the greatest. Vanderbilt, SEC, Nashville athletes like it's that. She's here in her sophomore year, and she is. If she has a game you would expect in Sweet 16 against Notre Dame, then she is going to be the all-time leading scorer. She's going to have the SEC single-season scoring record over Shamika Holdsclaw. It puts a little perspective on if people don't remember her.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
Yeah, multiple national championships under Pat Summitt. But no, and look, they're not just Michaela Blakes. Aubrey Galvin is just a tremendous. You're talking freshman of the year, Aubrey Galvin. Player of the year, Michaela Blakes. Coach of the year, national coach of the year, Shea Ralph, USBWA national coach of the year. And Justine Passat hitting big threes last night. Sasha Washington. I mean, it's a really good team. And I like them against Notre Dame. I think it's going to be a good game Friday. And then if they do get a chance to face UConn in the Elite Eight, it'll be interesting. But do not miss an opportunity to watch Michaela Blakes play basketball. That'd be my advice.
A lot of momentum on the Ty Simpson front right now, Joe. We had Orlovsky saying he thinks he's the best player or best quarterback in the draft. Tannenbaum says he's talked to some people around the league that really like Simpson, thinks he's going to be better than Mendoza. I'm very interested to see, watching mock drafts with him is fascinating because some people have him going in the early teens. Some people have, the Jets trading back up in the top 10 to go get him. And then some people have him going to Pittsburgh at 22 or wherever they're at. And then some people have him totally not in the first round. He's all over the map when it comes to the Ty Simpson part of this.
I think he's way too we did have that draft, of course, of 4 years ago, I think, right? I think that's right. Yes.
Draft?
The Pickett draft
Willis.
And by the way, starting maybe he should have been a first rounder all along, but I can't buy for a second that Ty Simpson won't go in the first round. I just don't buy that at all. He's going to go in the first round. And, it's just a matter of at this point, you tell me that someone is going to fall in love with him to the point of looking to trade up and he's a top 10 pick. That's probably what I would bet right now is that he'll end up in the top 10. And it's interesting when you hear some of these guys talk about comparing him with Fernando Mendoza. There were definitely times last year. I mean, you and I talked about it at the time on the show that I thought he looked like okay, this guy actually has a shot to be the top of the draft dude.
Yeah,
and got hurt. Apparently, that's all good. And so I think you've got two. There's really nobody else. I mean, who is the third quarterback
I
who's
have
going to
no
be
idea.
taken?
Nussmeier?
It's really interesting. It could be. There's a lot of previously thrown out there as like a top 10 quarterback guys who are going to get drafted.
Yeah.
My goodness, a year. I mean, going into the season, people were talking about. I mean, there were mock drafts that had Cade Klubnik, number 1 overall.
Yeah.
There were mock drafts that had Drew Aller going, top 5.
I mean, both of them in like the 7th round.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's hard to believe that some of these guys wouldn't have the interest to be, I don't know, be 3rd or 4th rounders, but it is almost like either you're going all in with someone or you just wait and take them super late. Obviously, we'll see with Diego Pavia too.
It would be real nice. I don't think this is going to happen because they do have another 1st-round pick after. But like if the Jets, just to be sure, were like, you know what, we'll just take Simpson at 2. I talked earlier about just leaving options over for the Titans. As many options as you could have at number 4, the better off you'll be. If you could go Mendoza 1, Simpson 2, that'd be sweet. I don't expect that to happen, but that'd be awesome.
Way crazier things have happened.
Oh, way
especially
crazier.
with
Yeah.
the New York Jets involved.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would or is it possible? Is it possible? The thing is, like, who's the first team that might want to take him? Probably Cleveland after that,
Yes.
right? So it's like, is someone going to try to move up?
How many quarterbacks does
And-
Cleveland need?
And get in front of Cleveland? Well, yeah, but who do they have though? I mean, I guess
and a guy who's been paid a lot of money.
they do
Sean
have
Watson.
they do have a Pro Bowler and
Pro
a
Bowler.
major contract. That is true.
They do have that. That's going to do it for us today here on the program. Hope people enjoy the Preds game tonight. If you're going, if you're watching, if you're listening, we'll be back 6 a.m. tomorrow to do it all again. Thanks to people who stopped by at Dunkin' today, 1306 Murfreesboro Road. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. This is Robby and Rexrode. Next man up with Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.
Fridays for Nights.